Hi! So the review of the day is for a marvellous, beautiful, inspiring, beautifully written and incredibly well researched book. As you could see from the thumbnail, King Solomon's Ring by Konrad Z Lorenz. So I've been reading and rereading this book since the late 90s. It was on the recommended reading list for third year animal behaviour, and it's one of the books from my first degree that I fell in love with. I say this all first because once I start describing it, it will sound a little bit dry and academic, and it isn't. It is sparklingly beautiful. It is so beautiful and fairly unknown, really. When I say unknown, I had a quick look on Goodreads, which is a standard that we all go for these days. It has something like, it didn't have a lot. It had a couple of hundred reviews, and it had 2,000 or 3,000 ads. So in the sphere of Goodreads, that isn't really very many. Well, first published in 1949, and only 3,933 ratings, 273 reviews. It's a crime against nature that this book is not better known. Out there, millions of people, or at least hundreds of thousands, who love animals and want to know more about them, and you will learn as much from this book as you will from YouTubing for a year. Now, about the rarity of this book, I have seen it so rarely that I do that thing that we do. When you see another copy that's in good condition, you just can't not buy it. This one has got what is undeniably a beautiful cover. Mosaic style with a whole heap of animals, and it's wraparound, and it's good condition. It's truly beautiful. I still prefer this one. This is my first love, and I'm never getting rid of this one. I keep thinking I'll find someone to give this one away to, and so far it hasn't happened. Anyway, Konrad Z Lorenz. He is one of the, I think, two people that are largely considered to be the fathers of ethnology. Ethnology being the study of animal behaviour. So it would be a behaviourist when I was at uni. I don't know what they call it now. They've probably changed their mind. He was Austrian. He was a zoologist, ethnologist. He was an ornithologist. He shared the 1973 Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine with Tinbergen and von Frisch, who I think probably more people have actually heard of than they have of Lorenz. Crime against nature. He spent a lot of time on the instinctive behaviour of animals. His animal choices aren't particularly sexy when you compare them to an Attenborough video. He went in for grey-lag geese and jackdaws and animals, and a whole lot of other basically animals that he found on his walks around the neighbourhood, or his own animals. And the book is accompanied by charming little drawings throughout, which aren't in focus, are they? Oh well, charming little drawings throughout that really give you a sense of the author as much as they do about the animals. So here's a discussion. This is from the area where he discusses the different characteristics of wolf-like dogs and fox-like dogs in terms of their behaviour. And a lot of what he researched and wrote down in this book is now so standard that no one even questions where it came from. Dog behaviour, of course, is a huge thing because pet dogs, at least in Australia, are becoming the more likely choice over children. In some parts of society, there's a huge dog culture. A lot of the things that we know about dog behaviour come from here. So the sad thing about Lorenz was that his work was interrupted by World War II. And since he was Austrian, he was recruited into the German army as a medic because he had that medical background. and he was sent to the Eastern Front. He was captured by the Soviets, spent 4 years as a prisoner in Armenia, and like many other scientists, after the war he came to regret his membership in the Nazi Party, but the Nazi Party was a standard for many other people. Sorry, not for many other people, for many people who were living there, and it was a thing. I don't believe that Lorenz himself was a Nazi, but he was a magnificent scientist, and he was a gorgeous writer. So my copy has been translated, obviously. The illustrations, by the way, are his own. They're Konrad Lorenz's. I'm not sure who translated this one. Okay, translated from the German by Marjorie Kerr Wilson, about whom I know nothing except that she did an absolutely beautiful job with this book. So I'll give a mention to something from chapter 6, which is about pitying animals. If one listens to the remarks of the visitors in any of the larger zoos, one will frequently find that people are in the habit of wasting sentimental pity on animals that are absolutely contented with their lot, while the genuine suffering, which is to be found in every zoological garden, may go unpassed. And that's a brilliant commentary of the fact that a lot of humans, like Gerald Durrell said in his books, look upon animals and basically they imagine them as little humans in furry or feathered suits. And it's entirely inappropriate, because animals' wants and needs are not ours, and if we try to provide an animal with what we want and need, you're probably going to end up with a very unhappy animal. So that, I feel, was probably a bit of a source to Gerald Durrell, who I will one day reread and review, because I love him. I just want to mention King Solomon's Ring. Well, it does have its reviews. It doesn't have very many of them. All of those reviews tend to be in the high 4 or 5 stars on Goodreads at least. And I think that is that demonstrates the fact that this is absolutely a popular science book. There is science in it, and it's good science, but he isn't writing it as science. He's writing it as being about animals, as someone who's observed them systematically, meticulously, and analysed their behaviour sensibly, scientifically, but it is still about the animals. And there's a lot of anecdotes. The anecdotes are beautiful and fun, and they flow into the actual observed and analysed science very well. He's also got a fondness for water shrews. I had never thought about a water shrew at all before reading this book. We don't have them in Australia. But after this, it's like I've always thought water shrews, pretty cool. Hard book to review. It's one of those books that you love so much that anything you say about it is basically going to be you gabbling about how much you love it. But it is a book for everyone. And apparently not everyone has read it. Everyone who loves animals, everyone who sits in their backyard looking at birds, wondering what they're doing, what they think they're doing, this is probably your gateway to observing animal behaviour wherever you are in the world. If you're in Australia and New Zealand, you're probably not going to find too many examples from the animals around us, but you will find the way to think about and look at what the animals might be into. So, people who think that they know a lot about animal behaviour will read this and they will find how little they know. Often. I certainly did. And I was pretty opinionated back in the day. From 49 and research probably throughout the 40s still has got so much to offer. Machinery. I lost my train of thought. It was important. Read it? That wasn't what I was going to say next. But you should, because it's poetic and it's beautiful. And if you like animals, you will learn a lot about it. I've already mentioned that, haven't I? I don't tend to like comic books. I don't go out of my way to seek humour or funny books. And humour in sitcoms and stuff usually makes me uncomfortable rather than laugh. I don't quite get it. But this made me laugh often. It was that charming, funny type of laugh, because not so much what the animals are doing, but his interaction with the animals, or his observations of what the animals are doing. Absolutely charming and thoroughly respectful for the animals. So if you love animals but you don't read a lot of animal science because experimentation isn't always kind or respectful to the animal, this is where you will find the love, the respect, and the kindness. It was observational. The other father of ethnology, whose name I've temporarily forgotten, might have been von Fritsch. He tended to take wasps and things and run experiments on them. Lorenz tended to observe. Also good for those people. What was the final? There was a final thing I was going to say about this. Look, just read it. If you like animals, if you're at all interested in them, if you're looking for a book from the 40s, if you're looking for something beautifully written and slightly illustrated. Not a children's book, but I would say that any popular science adult can master it in a way that many books that claim to be popular science are a little bit over the top. I've got Other Minds out there somewhere. It's about octopus. I thought it was 100% popular science. Other people reading it thought it was a bit too heavy on the science. But of all the 4 or 5 star ratings, that's what I was going to say earlier. Of all the 4 or 5 star ratings which there are, and most of the ratings are 4 or 5 stars, none of them say it was too hard. So this is absolutely a user-friendly book, whatever your background. And, yes, that's it. So the reason I'm reviewing Konrad Lorenz instead of the books I'm actually reading is like, A, I'm bogged down in Heliconia summer. I will be bogged down for a long time, I suspect. It's not a fast read. But because Brian Aldiss keeps talking about animals and their behaviours, and social behaviours as well, I keep looking at it and thinking, it should have been Konrad Lorenz that you went to for information, not Desmond Morris, who I'll probably also review one of these days. This would have given you the background to make animals interesting, intentionally and continuously interesting, instead of just occasionally a little bit interesting. It would have given you a background to create herd behavior and herd animals like the Hoxneys and the other unpronounceable yelps or whatever they are, bio-yelps, thingamajigs. This would have given him a background to create a strong biological sphere. I don't know that Lorenz ever mentions the Umwelt, which is the vision, the sensory sphere in which animals live their lives. We do. And I think he does. I can't remember for sure. But definitely he went into the animal's viewpoint of its world in a way that you don't often see. So that was fantastic. The other book I'm reading at the moment is a non-fiction. And again, in that discussion of animals and how to research them and how to understand their sensory world, I feel that even though quite possibly many of these much younger researchers may not be aware of Konrad Lorenz and may not have read his book, when you look at their research, you look at the way they investigate naked mole rats and other animals, you can see that this book has had a huge impact and influence on people who research animals and people who are interested in animals today. So yes, if you are looking for a popular science book, if you are interested in reading about animals, behaviour, ethnology, this is the book for you. Again, heavily underrated. If anyone watches this, please add it on Goodreads, improve its ratings. It 100% deserves it. It's a crime against nature that you've got thousands and thousands and thousands of likes for, I don't know, that strange young adult women getting abused by lovers stuff, and an amazing book like this just isn't as well recognized. So, read. Read good books.